Hey, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox coming to you today with the review for Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 12. So, the reintroduction, should I say, of frickin' Frack. How you guys feeling about it? Do we feel like we're going to get the same Phaedra that we had before or not? I see that she's trying to rekindle her old Phaedra-like ways. Kind of fell flat for me, but we'll talk about it. The review. Let's get to it, shall we? I say I'm gonna take some time off, y'all. All the cashiers, they was like, somebody stole her truck. It was like you could hear it all throughout the store. This Rox coming to you today with the review for Love and Marriage Detroit, Love and Marriage Huntsville, our book 4, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let's get to it, shall we? All right, you guys, we had a really busy weekend. As you can see in my face, I am exhausted. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I really actually pulled my camera out all weekend and shared what me and Mr. was doing all weekend. It's something that I don't normally do. We do things on the weekend all the time, but I don't normally share it. But this weekend, I was just like, maybe I'll share. I'll just try to see if I could ever even think about vlogging. I mean, I'm not really a vlogger kind of girl, but in my retirement, I had thought about maybe every now and then vlogging. And so I was like, maybe let me try it this weekend. You know, not real vlogging, but just like that, just to see if it was something that I enjoyed. And it actually was fun. I would vlog. It's just that in my retirement, I don't want to do nothing that feels like work. You know, the fun about putting shit on Instagram, like on the stories or whatever, is just that it's spontaneous. You're in the moment. You're doing the, you know, the video right then. As opposed to if I'm vlogging, you know, now it's work. I've got to be going out to get content. You know, I've got to be conscious of what I'm doing. And so I don't know if that's something that I feel like doing, but I did enjoy sharing all weekend. We had a great weekend. So, yeah, how y'all doing? It's Memorial Day. What y'all doing on today? Anything exciting? We not doing nothing. We were gonna go eat because Mr. was gonna cook and he didn't look like he felt like it. And I was like, you know what? You ain't gotta do all that. It's just you and I here. We don't need all that food. Let's go out to eat. So we gonna go out to eat today. So, and plus it rained all fucking night. Literally. Why I look like this is because the damn lightning and thunder started up at like 9:30 last night and it lasted all the way till 6 o'clock this morning. So guess who was up with Blue all this morning? I'll let you take one good guess. Baby, I'm so exhausted. Blue stayed up all night. If he was out of my sight, he was crying. Like, I had to get up. I had to be out there or else nobody was going to get any sleep in the house. So I curled up on the little recliner on my couch, and you know, Blue was laying over on his bed, and I was uncomfortable. I didn't get to sleep well, hot, and just everything. So yeah, that's what's going on this morning. So I'm getting y'all up to speed, but that ain't why you came here, right? Okay, let's get started. So the show starts with Shamia. She's at home, and Kelly comes over to visit, you know, brings a bottle over there for them both. And Shamia's happy to see her. You know, I've heard Shamia say, even in interviews, that Kelly is probably her favorite person on the show right now. So, you know, they're sitting down by the pool and they're drinking champagne and they're talking, you know, like the rich boss bitches that they are. And Kelly asked Shamia, would she mind, you know, hosting a trip to the Caribbean with her? And, you know, Shamia was like, I would love to do it. Okay, where are we going? The Maldives? Kelly was like, no, not the Maldives, Shamia. The Maldives are not in the Caribbean, fool. So, you know, she's throwing out all of these suggestions of all these different places that they could be going. And nope, Shamia doesn't guess anything. Okay, where are we going? Grenada. Grenada, that should be really nice. Kelly tells her that she has friends that live in Grenada, you know, and they're going out there because they want to help them. They had a tornado recently. I mean, they always have tornadoes in the Caribbean, and it has devastated most of it. You know, we've talked about it here. So they're going there, and while they're there also enjoying the luxurious life of Grenada, they're also going to be trying to help the people that live there. Also, though, this divorce for Kelly has been very draining, you know, so she needs a reset. So Grenada's going to be just the place to do it. But she said that the divorce is draining her. She just recently had to pay like $158,000, and she's just, child, she needs this trip. So yeah, Kelly is just like, I'm trying to hold it together, and this trip is going to be just what she needs. Okay, a little scenery change. And Shamia promises that she'll have her back as well. Now, jumping over to Porsha, we see Porsha and her mother and her sister, and they are touring new homes. You know that she has the marital home with Simon, but now that they're getting a divorce, she needs somewhere else to stay. She gave her old house to her mother. And so the house that they're looking at is really beautiful. There's a guy there, he's taking them around, you know, and I don't know if they said how much the house was going to cost, but it looked quite expensive. Porsha is just trying to figure out where her and her daughter are going to land. You know, she said it's been a very crazy time. She thought she would be with Simon for the rest of her life, but you know what? It didn't work out that way. And so now she has to make sure that she starts her new life the right way, you know, a place for her and her daughter to live. But she tells us, you know, I have been getting anxious because she wants this whole thing done. Then she goes on to explain to us, you know, how she was in the marriage with Cordell. I was like, girl, we was there. We remember. You know, I was really submissive in my first marriage and I was just concentrating on being a good wife. But I was left cold in the divorce. So this time I made sure that I set myself up so that I would never have to go through that again. Anyway, she's telling her mom and her sister that they're going to Grenada. You know, all the girls, you know, her mom and sister are laughing like, child, here y'all go with another trip. You think it's going to be good with all the turmoil that's going through the group? Me and Shamia are in a good place. But if my love doesn't hold this friendship together, then she has my permission to seek it in another place. Okay? All these buts and ands and additions to, you know, just declaring friendship with Shamia lets you know that these two probably are not friends right now. Then, you know, remember I told you how they have those little cut scenes that they put in? We see Kelly and that damn dog getting a massage. It's just like, okay, Kelly. Her eyelash fell off. I was like, did you get extensions on the dog? What kind of dog? She doesn't have a Shih Tzu. Because I was going to say, if she had a Shih Tzu, they already have very long eyelashes. Do you really get extensions on Yorkies? What is happening in this world today, you guys? We also see Shamia at work, but this time she's a guest. You know, she works at the V103 station out here in Atlanta station. She works out here in Atlanta at V103. And so she is on there now, though, as the personality from Real Housewives of Atlanta. You know, so they're talking. Of course, they're shading Drew. I was just like, I did not realize that Shamia had this issue with Drew all of a sudden. I mean, it didn't make no sense to me. I was like, why is Shamia this mad at Drew? Because Drew said something about Porsha, and Shamia went back and told Porsha, and Porsha didn't like the way that Shamia approached her about this. So then Shamia now is mad at Drew because Porsha was mad at Shamia because what Shamia told her about Drew. What fucking kind of sense does that make? It's given, I just want to be mad at you, Drew, because my best friend is. And I was just like, because Drew really was not in the middle of that. That one little slick thing that she said, it was slick, cute, funny, nothing serious shade. They're making too big a deal out of it. But I did laugh when she was talking about how, you know, she forget that she's supposed to be beefing with somebody. And I laugh because Tiny said that in the past too. And I actually feel that way too. Sometimes I'll forget, like when I'm doing videos, and I'll forget that I didn't like a person because of some things that they had done. And then I'll do a video, and then I'll talk about how much I like that person. They'd be like, Roxanne, you remember when they did this, that, and the other? I'd be like, oh, I forgot all about that. And you guys be mad at me because I be liking somebody that then went and did some shit to somebody or some child. Anyway, so they had that little clip mixed up in there. Now let's jump over to Angela. So she and Charles are out looking at their properties. Remember, she has like 4 or 5 properties all over Atlanta that haven't been sold. About to the tune of $2 million in debt. She's stressed out about it. She tells us when she and Charles are walking around this house in Cascade that's on the market, I think they said for $465, even though they had listed it originally at $499. They've had to drop the price a few times, and you know, she's stressed about it. They walking through the house. A lot of the stuff that the contractor said he was going to do has not been done. She was like, he said he's going to do this. He was going to do that. That's not done. That's not done. And I was just like, Angela, I could have saved you so much time and worry. Okay? None of the contractors out here in Atlanta, not the ones that look like your cousins any fucking way, do the shit that they supposed to do. I promise you, and I am talking from experience. I can't tell you how many times that in the couple of years ago, we did some renovations in our house, and we had so many times when we were scammed, okay? And we had to make it do what it do. But yeah, these contractors out here, you got to find a good one. All right. And it sure does pain me to say that most of the ones that look like you is the ones that's giving you the mess. Okay. We had to get us some Asians, some Mexicans up in here to do it, because your cousins, they fucked it up every single time. And you can be mad at that. I don't give a fuck. That man told her he would do all this work and he would guarantee her that she would sell this house in 10 days. Now, I don't know. Angela sometimes makes me feel like she's super naive, because I was like, girl, you thought that house was going to sell in 10 days. Why you thought that? Because the man told you that? Girl, this house is be on markets forever. So yeah, it's 7 properties. I thought it was 4, honey. It's 7 and $2 million in debt. Charles is just like, get rid of them. Well, it's not quite that easy. They have to be sold. I guess if she's trying to make a profit anyway, I guess Charles's point is just like, sell them, break even, and get them out your hair. She starts talking about the mom and the house that they bought her. And yeah, I would have been mad. Even though she did that for her mother and everything, the fact that her mother sold that car. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been mad. I would have been mad. Let me take that back. I would have been mad, but I would have just been like, okay, if that's what you want to do, fine. You ain't got to worry about it. I ain't buying shit no more. I'm not fixing to do none of this no more, but okay, you know. And like I said last week, her mother's passed, so, you know, it don't feel right really talking about the mama anyway. But Charles, you know, they're talking because the mom, remember last week, and the mom was like, oh, you know, that Charles, he talking to you, you know, the house needed to be cleaned. And they want us to believe that that's why they fell out, because he talked to Angela cross because the house was not clean. Okay, I just don't know if we don't talk to people for 3 years because of an unclean house. That shit with Angela and the mama and the family and Charles is still some bullshit. They ain't telling the truth on that. But she does apologize to Charles, because now she knows that it was more the mom than Charles, you know. And I was just like, what do you apologize for? Anyway, child, moving on from that. She says that she was invited to Brit's golf event, you know, and Charles is like, he don't really want to go, but she really wants Charles to go. I guess she invited both of them, you know, but the minute that the 1999 Charles Oakley shows up, that's when it's going to be time to go. Charles ain't looking like he has studied none of them, you know. He's there to support his wife, and that is it. He ain't got shit else to do with none of them other people. And you can tell he don't even feel like a part of it. It's a shame, because the way that the husbands used to be, as opposed to the way that the husbands are now. I mean, look at the extreme age difference. Charles has no reason to be sitting down with Brit's husband and I mean, fuck, who else is there left? I mean, Issa's not on the show. Nobody else is married. Drew's going through a divorce. Okay, it's a housewife shows of divorced women. So that's the only reason why Charles is there, to help his wife out. So Angela's just like, she's going to go to the event, but she's expecting the unexpected there. Now, let's jump over to Brit. So Brit tells us that she wants to have an event at this country club, right? It's going to be a polo event. And high class sedity. She wants the girls to dress all up, you know, and wear their big hats. And they're going to do what the country club folks do. She's launching Bare and Naked, which is her company of shapewear and loungewear. Okay, the way that she was describing it, it definitely had the aesthetic of Skims. I'm sure that's what she was trying to go for. I'm not sure if the money is quite there for us to leap all the way in that way, but I mean, people got to start somewhere, you know, so I'm not mad. But the thing with, you know, when you're trying to launch something, or when you're trying to start something, and you don't really have the, you know, you don't have all the things to make it happen, you know, it's okay to start small. All right? It's okay to grow the business. I guess Brit felt like, because she's on this show with these women that already have established businesses, and she's already been to these things, you know, we've seen people fall into these trappings. Drew has fallen into them. Sheree has fallen into them. People don't have it in them to give big events, but they want to do it so badly. So she's going to have this thing at this country club, okay? And everybody's going to get dressed up, all right? And she gets there, and I'm like, what is this? You know, she's saying that it's going to be so nice, but I'm looking, it's not decorated. There aren't even really any people setting up, you know, and so they're there. Well, she's there. Then we see Kelly get there. Of course, that's her bestie on the show. And Shamia gets there. So they're all dressed up real cute. But it's just sort of like, now what are we doing exactly? Because nothing is set up. They're still setting up. And here we got these three girls that's all gussied up. Well, they got a line of golf carts over there. They're going to get on the golf carts and they're going to go play golf. And Shamia's like, we are dressed like this. Why are we going to play golf again? Yeah, we didn't think that one out, okay? But I guess in Brit's mind, she saw all the girls in the golf carts, you know, having some little slapstick fun, you know, driving down the course and, you know, laughing and all that. Well, the girls ain't even all there. So we just got the three. It's the three that, well, two of them, you know, are new. We don't really care about them like that. So it's just sort of like, girl, where's everybody? Like, why are we doing this? Anyway, they get on the golf carts and they kind of riding them down, and then they get down to the golf course, and the men look real annoyed with them because these women are out there. They ain't doing nothing but tearing up these people's grass. They got on heels, you know, nobody has on golf shoes. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. While they're out there doing that, Porsha gets there. You know, Porsha, where everybody at? Okay. Now she goes and sits down with a woman that's also gotten there, probably another one of Brit's friends. Did I say gotten? I know that's not a word, but you know what I meant. And she sits over there with that girl, and I guess she's waiting for the other ones to come back. So Porsha asks, like, what exactly is going to be happening? And the girl says, I think that she's launching like her naked and bare line. And Porsha says, oh, okay, so like makeup. Okay, yeah, probably like makeup. Not really, Porsha. Anyway, the producers pointed out, they was just like, okay, so her company is about the same name as yours. You know, she's like, wait a minute, hold on. My company, Go Naked, has been in business for 10 plus years. Okay, you're going to put some spec on my name with a R-E in front of it. Okay, respect. So anyway, Porsha's already there. Then we see Angela and Charles get there right at the same time that the girls are getting back from being out on the golf carts. I couldn't understand why Charles was there. He stuck out like a sore thumb because nobody thinks about Brit's husband. Nobody thinks about Brit's husband. Nobody cares about him or anything. So it's like you have Charles there and he's just sitting there with a table full of women. Okay. At least that's what it looks like on the show. I guess there were other people there, but the way they focused it made it look like Charles was sitting there at the table with a whole bunch of women. It felt like so much of really a setup scene. But Brit is actually happy that Angela showed up. She says that it is a step in the right direction. Drew gets there, but the collective thought is nobody knows exactly what we're supposed to be doing at this event. Again, it's not even really decorated. You know, they all just sitting outside. They hot. They at a golf course. They talking about this business, but it's just like, where does all this connect? It just felt like Brit had all these ideas in her head of what she wanted, and she just was like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get on the golf carts. We're going to go out to the golf course. We're going to eat up there. We're going to talk about my business. But it's like none of it really, you know, everybody was just sort of like, what is this mess? They all sit down at this table. You know, they got chairs and stuff and the table set up. People are sitting down, and I guess we expecting to eat. Hell, they just said we're going to go inside and have brunch, right? So brunch to me means like waffles, pot pancakes, eggs, scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage. Okay, I'm thinking about all this. An omelet station. That's what I'm talking about, right? That ain't really what Brit meant, though. You know, so she goes and talks to the people, and she was like, you know, I didn't want all these chairs set up because everybody that's, you know, they're supposed to be standing and they just supposed to be getting the little light bites that's going around. I guess they had people walking around with trays. Okay, so it's supposed to be like little tapas for the people that were standing. But people were all sitting down and all this. And she was just like, I can't go in there and tell all these people that they don't have no food to eat. If you have an event in Atlanta and you don't have no food, then you're going to be talked about for a really long time. Bitch, we serious about our food out here. We gonna sit down, we gonna eat, we gonna drink, and we gonna be married. But it ain't really happening here. So already Brit got one strike. But honey, like Porsha said, that shit was tragic. Thing was trying to have an elevated event and it just didn't quite go well. Okay, but she does introduce her business to everybody. And, you know, she has a gift for the ladies. Okay, passes them all out in boxes and everything. That's for you guys. The child, they talked about that damn gift so bad. I was like, y'all are awful. She was like, Shamia was like, we just opened the box. It ain't no tissue paper or nothing in there. It's just box and whatever the hell she gave them. Why did you start the company? Well, Brit says that when she had her, back in 2020, when she launched her company bare and naked. You know, she took her whole staff down to Miami and told them, you know what, the money is no issue, get whatever work you need done. So, you know, everybody had all these BBLs and stuff done, and they weren't really happy with the recovery materials, the clothes that they had to wear. You know, it was uncomfortable, it was restrictive, you know, it's all this. So she comes out with this company to combat the uncomfortableness of all these pieces, you know, after you get the surgery. Shamia heard that, she was like, well, hell, I need to be on the team. Go on and suck some of this back fat out of her back, you know, lift these titties up and everything. One thing that all the ladies are on this show is funny. Everybody is quite witty on the show, and I can appreciate that. They all kind of make me laugh at some point. Brit asked Charles and Angela, you know, how they're enjoying things, and you know, Charles was like, everything's great. Okay, short and sweet. Then here go Angela, and Charles doesn't have a side baby. Angela do not know how to just gently push it in, huh? She just gonna blurt it out. I guess she was like, I gotta figure out a way to put this in, honey. Just no way, no other way but to do it, huh? So she just blurts it out. Everybody is just sort of like, okay. Porsha was just like, Angela, see, this is what happened when people get hungry. They just start saying anything. They start hallucinating about things that they see that wasn't really there and everything. So while we dealing with that uncomfortableness, then all of a sudden Brit says, and I'm not one of Charles's whores. While she's sitting right next to her husband, Charles is sitting there like, what the fuck are you even talking about? You know? And everybody, I was just like, oh my God, this is just so cringy. Oh, so uncomfortable. I would have been so uncomfortable. I forgot to tell you guys that Cynthia was there as well. And Cynthia came all dazzled up, honey. She was beautiful in her sparkly mirror dress and her big hair and her hat and everything. Because Cynthia was like, I just came here to enjoy time with my girls, okay? But it's obvious that these girls is on some bullshit today, and Cynthia is so aggravated, you know? So she's sitting there. So Charles was like, well, I don't mess with whores, you know, so I guess that works out good. I was just like, what is going on? Anyway, moving on from that, Angela says we all good, you know, Brit and Angela good right now, so good for that. So then all of a sudden Drew is talking about, you know, how they've had some disconnect, her and Brit, so maybe they need to sit down and have a talk. And Kelly says, yes, you guys absolutely should sit down and talk, and when you do talk, you should tell the truth. And Drew was like, oh honey, always. I was like, never always, Drew, never always. Drew was like, I don't know the real Kelly either. Then Shamia tells her that she wants to know why Drew called her a lapdog. And I said, oh, so that's why Shamia is mad at Drew. It's not about what Porsha had all that. She mad that Drew called her a lapdog. I was like, it feels like you're trying to just single Drew out, because really all the ladies have said it. So why are you just mad at Drew, Shamia? Why? Shamia, kiss my motherfucking ass, bitch. You know, and she's doing all this. And Drew was just like, oh my God, how old are we? And Shamia was like, well, is that in dog years or human years? That shit was funny. That was a great comeback. So, you know, it's kind of getting hyped up in there, you know. So Brit stands up and she says, ladies, if you guys have a problem with each other and you feel like you need to handle it, then you need to take that shit outside, because it is not happening in here. And so they just all got up and left, child. But like Cynthia said, it was a circus. I'm telling you, all they did was waste Bravo's money. Now, speaking of Drew goes to see her attorney. And I'm thinking that this has something to do with the divorce, but no, it doesn't. Actually, today is her signing day. She's signing her contract for her label, and she is going to, you know, be ready to put her album out. So she's excited. She gets to the office, and, you know, one little thing though, we still got to get this shit situated with Dennis. You know, her being told that Dennis had said that she tried to offer sex to, you know, for him to work with her and all that. She still hasn't had a conversation with him. So now we got to get that cleared before we finally sign this contract. So she FaceTimes Dennis and she tells him how, you know, she had gotten that information and she just wanted to talk to him about it. And he was just like, you know what, Drew, we got business to do. He said, ain't nobody said none of that, basically. You and I, no, he did not deny it. He just said, we got work to do, you know, we gonna work on it. I'm not trying to do nothing with you, basically, and that's that. But he didn't deny saying it, because he did say it. He just said it in a joking way. I don't think he is trying to fuck on Drew and vice versa. So now that she got that clear with Dennis, she's happy and everything. Now she is ready to sign, and she does sign, and she's, you know, her album is beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, Drew's album is nice. She has a really nice voice, you know, and they did well on the album. I hope it does well for her. Have you guys had a chance to listen to it? You guys will have to let me know what you think about it. But she's ready to turn up the work. Lastly, you guys, the moment that we all were waiting for, maybe, the reintroduction of frickin' frack. Porsha goes over to Phaedra's house, and, you know, ding dong, and Phaedra opens. Phaedra tells us, I heard you were looking for me. Bitch, here I go. She didn't say bitch. Honestly, you guys, I didn't feel any kind of way. Phaedra's never been my favorite. I did enjoy Phaedra when she was on the show, but you know, when all that shit happened with Candy, it kind of turned me on Phaedra, and I really ain't had no desire to see Phaedra anymore, which is why I've never seen any other show that Phaedra's been on. So I'm happy about that. I didn't watch when she was on Dubai. I didn't watch when she was on Married to Medicine. So this really feels like a fresh look at Phaedra again for me. As a matter of fact, I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to stand Phaedra this season. Oh my God, Phaedra, I miss your energy. So Phaedra tells us that she's back where she belongs. You know, yeah, some other stuff happened. You know, they did try to address the situation with Candy and everything. She never did apologize. She said that just was not her best moment. And that she didn't think that she would be thrown in this position. Life has thrown her many, many curveballs, but you know, she has persevered and she has finally landed back at home where she's supposed to be. She said, if anybody else has anything bad to say, you know, well, hey, he without sin cast the first stone. Okay, everybody has done things. Well, no, Phaedra, I have not accused one of my friends, you know, my close friends, that they have a sex dungeon underneath their house and that they are raping people under there, drugging them and raping them. No, I've never done that. Anyways, they sit down there talking. They tell us that Porsha and Phaedra always maintain their friendship. I was like, I have never seen Porsha and Phaedra, besides them now being back on the show. Before we knew that Phaedra was coming back, I never saw Porsha and Phaedra hanging out in Atlanta. Never. I ain't seen them in no pictures and everything. I mean, maybe they have, but they have not been on social media for the people to see that these two was together, you know? So I actually saw Porsha hanging with Candy a lot, you know, Candy and Shamia a lot when, you know, when the show wasn't on. So I was just like, we ain't never seen her with no Phaedra. It's just lying, child. But Phaedra was just like, so how are the girls? Okay, what's going on? You know, she loves small people. That's a fetish of hers. She just loves all the small people. She wish she can just get them all together and, you know, put them in her basement. I was just like, what? I couldn't even figure out how that was supposed to be a funny joke. I said, it doesn't sound like Phaedra has her same writer. So Phaedra's just sitting there steady throwing out zingers, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna laugh at one of them. I'm waiting on this one that's gonna really give it to me. Okay, she talks about Brit being a woman of many suitors. But Porsha interrupts her and is like, do you know Drew? No, not really. And, well, you know she was working with Dennis. And Phaedra said, what, girl, she's selling hot dogs? No, more like sitting on it. Then she also mentions Charles Oakley. He wants to know what's going on over here. You know, Phaedra's just throwing out the zingers and everything. And Porsha's just laughing like, I sure did miss you, honey. Phaedra just has healing energy. Porsha FaceTime Shamia and was just like, hey, girl, look who I'm with. Okay, and shows her Phaedra. Okay, look, we going to Grenada, and I was just trying to see what you think about Phaedra coming too. Well, Shamia was just like, well, you know what? Let's see what Kelly thinks. So they get Kelly, and Kelly says absolutely it's fine because Bravo paying for it anyway. Okay, the heifer can come if she wants to. And Phaedra was like, okay, so she's going, and let's see. So she has strawberry shortcake on steroids. We got Drewzilla. We got the woman about town, Edie, Brit, Sweet Shamia, and the secret wife of Charles Oakley. Okay, that's what she has named everybody. But Phaedra says that she can't wait to dive into the foolishness of the show. All right, she's happy to be back. I just was like, well, I mean, I guess. How'd you guys feel about Phaedra being back? Did you feel like those zingers were landing? I just didn't feel like the jokes was landing for me. I felt like she was working hard to keep on throwing them out there to show that that's who she was, instead of just being relaxed and cool and coming in like the Phaedra that, you know, who is already been here and done that and should be kind of more on the way that Cynthia's been, in my opinion. Okay, you are way older than these women, and you know, it's just, when is it that the time for being messy finally passes? It should be at some point. And I feel like Phaedra's still there, child. But we'll see how the show goes this trip. I guess we're gonna have Phaedra for a good 6 to 8 episodes, because I don't know if it's going to be 20 episodes or 18. I don't know what it is going to be, but we're going to have Phaedra. We'll see how it goes. Y'all let me know what you think about the episode. All right, you guys, that is it. I'm about to go up here and take me a nap, and then me and Miss gonna get us some lunch/dinner. Okay, happy Memorial Day out there. And I always tell y'all know what I tell you, because I'm auntie first. I'm auntie first, and everybody needs to be safe. It's Memorial Day. Stop drinking and no drinking and driving. No drinking and driving. Don't get kicked out of no parties. Don't be drinking and acting a fool, and don't do none of that. Be safe. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday for Top of the Blogs. Make sure you thumbs up the video, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Roxanne. The channel is itsrox, and everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Until next time, Roxstars. Goodbye.